All right, good evening and welcome back to Prince's Seat channel. We thank the Lord once again for bringing us to this season. And tonight, this is the 27th of August 2025, and just a couple days more to the end of the month. But tonight, I want to draw our attention to a very important submission that ensures accountability in the disbursement process. At a season like this, when expectations are just very much at its very peak and the atmosphere is charged all over the place, I think it's quite so important to address a crucial, very crucial concern on how we need to ensure that the team leaders, the NGO heads, and the cluster heads do not take advantage of beneficiaries during the disbursement process. I actually do a little bit on that in the last submission, but I want to be more intensified right now, and this one actually goes directly to the management on how the management is expected to do this. In other words, some deterrent or some mechanisms that should be put in place. Yes, this voice note actually is it stems from one of my fans who actually projected this image, and I think she was actually making some sense, well enough, a lot of good sense. And I'm going to make some reference to one of the inferences that she drew. That is either that should be glory underscore suit 09. Yes, I just want to pick out one thing that she said from her comment that has to do with, he said, I know one who called and said, if I'm being paid, for instance, 2 million, I'm to refund 800,000 back to them and go home with 1.2. Now, why the greediness and such wicked imagination, knowing that you have yours? So that actually informed this submission tonight, and I want to really dwell on this and draw the attention of the government to this. This is principally, the attention of the NGO heads and the cluster heads, and also the leaders within this ecosystem, especially those saddled with this responsibility of disseminating, and the body itself, the management itself, what they're supposed to do, what their mission and their vision should be, in case that is not part of the plan that they have enshrined in this protocol. They should ensure that this measure is taken into account, serious account. This is Prince. In case you're new, do subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out on vital update. I'm going to be with you shortly and in a moment. Don't go anywhere. All right, thank you very much and welcome back once again. Now, still on course, the excitement about the imminent release of this fund has actually brought out both the best and the worst in people. And while we see some who are genuinely working tirelessly to ensure there is smooth, transparent, and fair distribution to all, others, unfortunately, they see this moment as an opportunity to exploit unsuspecting beneficiaries. And as heightened as we are right at this moment, I'm drawing that inference from that particular message, that I know of one who called and said, if I'm being paid, for instance, 2 million, I am to refund 800,000 back to them and go home with 1.2 million. Understand? So this is the kind of greed and wickedness that we must guard against. And that is exactly why mechanisms have been carefully or should be carefully, in other words, in case the management is not doing this, I think this should get to them. that mechanisms should be carefully planted at every level of this process to ensure that there is transparency, accountability, and fairness through it all. Now, from the very onset, the government governing bodies behind this intervention should understood that without proper control measures, that human greed could derail the entire purpose of this empowerment initiative. The disbursement should be designed in such a way as to uplift lives, to empower households, and also build more financially inclusive society. But without safeguards, without the process being safeguarded, there is always the risk that the team leaders, the NGOs, or the cluster heads could, as a matter of fact, they could deduct unfair charges from beneficiaries' funds. They could also demand some kickbacks before they release alerts, and then they could delay payments to manipulate some accesses, and then misinform beneficiaries about what they are entitled to or what they are supposed to get. And these potential loopholes should inform this. If it is actually looked into properly, these potential loopholes should inform the management to a kind of design a robust multi-layered monitoring framework that is going to guide against this particular issue. And I feel strongly within me that this mechanism should be put in place, a kind of a direct beneficiary payment scheme or system should be put in place. Direct beneficiary payment system. The most important safeguard is that payment should not pass through any middleman. I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying. Payment should not pass through any middleman. Funds should be processed and transferred directly from the central disbursement platform into the beneficiary's verified bank accounts. In other words, there should be no NGO or NGO heads that can hold your money. There should be no cluster heads that can approve your alert before it lands in your account or before you see it. Then there should be no team leader that has the power to demand refunds after payment. I don't know whether you understand what I'm trying to say. This one singular mechanism alone can effectively cut off the possibility of exploitations at the point of payment. So, and that is what is called the direct beneficiaries payment system, directly from the source into the beneficiary's verified bank account. Then I think the management also should look at the side of data integrity verification. What I mean by that is that before any funds can be released, all the beneficiaries' data should be verified and digitally logged into the central system. And this actually has to do with the names of the beneficiary, the BVN, the account numbers, the approved amounts that is allocated to each beneficiary, the payment batch numbers, and possibly the timestamps. Now, this will make it impossible, very much impossible, for any NGO heads or coordinators to alter payment figures or swap accounts, whatever it could be. Now, what is allocated to you in the system is exactly what would be reflecting in your alert. No more, no less. All right, let me just pause a little bit. I'm not just sitting well. All right, I also think that the government, or the management should get into what is called the multi-level monitoring and reporting system. This is an independent disbursement committee oversight that should be tasked with monitoring the process at every stage In other words, they are going to be supported by real-time transaction dashboards that can track every outgoing payment. And also there should be dedicated hotlines and online portals for beneficiaries to report misconduct of any sort. Then there should be an on-ground monitors that is randomly auditing NGOs and clusters to ensure that there is compliance to these measures. Now, this would ensure that if anyone attempts to exploit beneficiaries at any level, the system flags it instantly and the corrective measures are taken. I think that should be clear enough. Then the management also should have zero tolerance compliance policy system. In other words, the cluster heads, the NGO coordinators, the team leaders, they should be able to sign a compliance agreement before being accredited. The clauses are very strict. The clauses that should be enshrined in this protocol should be very much strict, as no deductions, no hidden charges, no kickbacks. There should be full accountability for every name that is submitted under their coordinations. There would be an immediate suspension and investigation of any leader that is reported for misconduct. So sanctions should not be theoretical. They should be active. And that is to say that any accredited leader that is caught violating the rules would risk losing their license, and forfeiting their role, and even facing some legal actions. The NGO also should be confiscated. I think I'm making sense to some people. Then the management, I think, should also, this is also very important, the management should kind of launch a beneficiary awareness campaign. That's another powerful mechanism I see in educating beneficiaries, because a lot of exploiters thrive because beneficiaries actually don't know their rights or entitlement. So to counter this, information channels should circulate clear details, like we have from the office of the secretary to the Sanctuary Wealth Multipurpose Foundation. They should circulate clear details about the amount to be received, the timelines and the processes. The beneficiaries should be constantly reminded that their payment comes directly to their bank account and nobody is authorized to demand a refund. Imagine, look at that just amount. Look at how much was taken. 800,000 be left to 1.2. That's too much. There should be an awareness campaign that should be launched across social media or WhatsApp groups and community forums. This would ensure that beneficiaries are empowered with knowledge and kind of less susceptible to manipulations from those at the echelon. Then finally, there should be digital audit trails, a kind of hash, that every transactions in this disbursement phase will leave behind a digital footprint that you cannot erase. A timestamp of payment, an exact amount that was sent into every beneficiary's account, the sender and the receiver's details. Now, this audit trail is immutable. That is to say that no one can alter it. Not even any high-ranking stakeholders. In case of these disputes, the system can pinpoint exactly where funds launches to, or where fund is coming from, where it's headed to. It's going to protect beneficiaries from fraudulent claims whatsoever it is. So and that is exactly how it is. So it is clear that some potential exploiters are already scheming even before the money lands right now. From that comment, it shows that there is a clear There's a clear awaitement for some exploiters who are already imagining scenarios where they help beneficiaries by facilitating payments only to demand huge refunds later. But these mechanisms that was just proffered to the management would render such manipulative ideas very, very useless. The system should be deliberately designed to bypass every possible human loopholes. And if someone calls you asking for a refund after you receive your alert, you would know immediately that such people are acting outside the authorized frameworks. And this is why beneficiaries are strongly advised that they should not agree in any way to do whatever is not based on agreement that they've entered into right from the beginning. So having said this, here we go. The moment is fast approaching right now, and all the key players' hands they're very much on deck to fast track this process. The stakeholders, the NGOs, the regulators, and the technical teams. But urgency also to act has not overshadowed the need for integrity and fairness. The entire structure has been carefully built to ensure that every naira gets to the rightful owner without deductions or diversions whatsoever, and that is why it appears like updates are becoming a little bit fewer, because the season of talking from the management is giving way to the season of execution. Systems should be locked at this time, processes finalized, and once the signal is given, alert should hit directly beneficiaries' phone without obstructions. We should know our rights. Nobody should alter your entitlement. You should stay informed through official channels. You should be prepared for your alert, and ensure that you speak up immediately you discover that anyone attempts to exploit you. Remember, as we have emphasized before, that we are standing at the edge of fulfillment. And every stakeholder is united by one goal: to deliver this intervention fund so fairly, transparent-wise, and without manipulations. The safeguards should be solid. The monitoring system within this ecosystem should be strict, and the oversight should be very much active. Greed will fail. By God's grace, greed will fail. Exploitations would fail. Manipulations would fail. And this next phase, before August ends, should not be speculations. It should be action-packed, so that when the announcement finally drops, it will not just be another promise. It will be the confirmation that we've all been waiting for. Our alert is coming directly, and should be secure, and should be in full. So stay hopeful for that. Stay very much informed and stay ready. This is Princess. In case you're new, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell so you don't miss out on vital updates. The moment we're waiting for is right before us. Anything can happen any moment. Thank you. Good night.